about things as I get older, the more excuses I realize I've made for people. And so looking back at it all now, especially after experiencing the complete opposite in a home birth, I remember probably both of the boys, but I remember asking multiple times, like, hey, can I get up now? Can I move around? And I think with my second, one of the nurses finally told me no.
Hello and welcome to Healing Trauma Mamas. I'm your host, Madon Wingo. Thank you for joining us as we share in our stories and experiences of healing from childhood traumas and birth traumas. Listen as we discuss our struggles, our failures, our strengths and our victories, and all those lessons we've learned along the way. Hi, Healing Trauma Mamas. Thank you for coming back to the podcast. I have such amazing stories that I've been sharing with everybody lately. A lot of birth stories and just a lot of amazing women's journeys. And I just am so thankful that people are willing to come on the podcast and share. And I have an amazing guest that you just heard say hi, but Jessica is with us and she's going to get to share some amazing things with us today. Would you mind introducing yourself for just a minute?
So I am Jessica Nelson, and I met Madon when did I have the baby? In the end of April last year, when I was at the very end of my last trimester.
Yep. So we didn't get a lot of time before you had a baby.
Longer than I thought.
That's true. That's very true. Oh my goodness. Okay, so you are a more local Texas mama who lives around here. So that's great. I love getting to have local people on the podcast because it's so neat with, we can record from wherever and talk from wherever now with technology. It's pretty amazing that you are local, and that's awesome. And I wanted to ask you, so first off, so you're a mama of three.
I am.
Yes. And so I don't know how far back you want to go and talk, if you want to briefly cover a little bit of your other birth stories, or do you want to jump in with this last one?
We can. So I have two boys. They are 14 and 12. With my oldest, I knew that I wanted a natural birth, but I just thought it would happen, I guess. I researched pregnancy, I researched newborn care. I never thought to look into the actual birth aspect of it. And so when I went into the hospital in labor, they're like, do you want Pitocin? And I'm like, what is it? And they're like, well, do you want to have a baby today or tomorrow? Like, it just speeds things along. Like, it did not explain it to me. And so, I mean, just, cascade of interventions, and had an epidural. And then with the second one, I felt defeated. I realized I didn't really know what to do. And so I just let it all happen.
How close are they?
2.5 years.
2.5 years, yeah. So you had two pretty close together.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a lot of time then goes by. A lot going on in your life?
There was. My husband now is not the father of my older two boys. Although we were together when we were teenagers, we got, life came full circle and we found each other again.
That's awesome.
It was neat. It was neat. He was always the one. I just didn't know it then.
Oh, that happens. I've heard so many stories of things like that happening. I love it.
For sure. And so I got pregnant with this baby. I knew I wanted a different birth, but I did not research it before I got pregnant. And so I think I called midwives. I called the birthing center in Abilene, and I think the financial aspect of it kind of hit me, and I felt bad like putting that on my family. And so I said, okay, we'll just do a hospital birth, but I'm going to research this time. I'm going to figure out how to do this differently. And I knew it wasn't what I wanted. It felt like the right thing to do for my family, And so at 35 weeks, one of those crazy pregnancy dreams, but I had a dream that I'm in this, my dreams are always crazy, but I had a dream that I'm in this building that's undergoing a terrorist attack, and I'm in labor. So I'm like moving through all these floors. We're trying to get away from whatever's happening, and I'm trying to find a safe place to have this baby. And there's like armed guards with me. There's a whole lot of people with me. And eventually we get into a bathroom, and I like go and hide in the stall, and I know I'm about to have her, but there's these like men standing outside watching me because they're supposed to protect me, I guess. And I'm like, can you move? Like, can I have a minute? And they're like, no, we're supposed to be here. And so all these women that are with me like come and surround the stall, and and I delivered her
Oh my
myself,
goodness.
and she's not breathing, she's not crying, and so I'm like I'm rubbing her, and then she starts crying, and I start crying, and I woke up, and that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I can't have, like, I can do this, I can't have this baby in a hospital.
Whoa. Well, we
And I
know pregnancy dreams can be really vivid and you can
yeah.
have some like wild ones, but I didn't know what, so you reached out to me on Facebook and were
Hmm.
asking about transferring care really late into the pregnancy and asking like what would that look like and would it be possible? Do you have an opening, that type of thing. And then you said I had this dream and that, I really wanted to look at switching to home birth. And I had no clue that was the dream. That's wow. That dream is pretty wild. Like that's so beautiful.
I
And I'm
think
like,
so.
yeah, I see the beauty, like all the women coming around you, like pushing them back, like letting her do her thing. Like that's awesome.
Well, yeah, looking back at it, it was neat. So first thing, I messaged my husband. I said, I can't have this baby in a hospital. He said, okay, are we buying a birthing tub? And I was like, no, no, I'm gonna like try and find someone to help us. I'm not gonna put that on you. So, and then after he said that, I messaged you.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, what are we doing?
And he was terrified, but he was a great sport about it.
And how was that for you? Because it wasn't like you were having a bad experience at the hospital, and you didn't really have a bad experience the two times before. Would that be accurate?
No, well, um, the the more I think about things as I get older, the more excuses I realize I've made for people. And
Mm,
so looking back at it all now, especially after experiencing the like complete opposite in a home birth, I remember like um probably both of the boys, but I remember asking multiple times, like, hey, can I get up now? Can I move around? And I think with my second, one of the nurses finally told me no.
mm,
And thinking about it now, like, why? What,
yeah.
what, and why was I asking permission in the first place? But I just didn't know. And so it
Yeah.
offends me more now when I think about it. But I wouldn't go as far as to say it was traumatic. I just felt I don't feel like I had control of the situation.
Yeah, that's hard, especially where you don't know what you don't know. Like
Hmm.
you're just kind of like in this system that you didn't even think to question or ask questions about what they're doing or why you can't or can do other things. And that's kind of hard place to be because you just don't know. You just don't know. And then later when you get new information and you learn things, you're like, oh, okay. I see that differently now than I did before.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all of us though. So I always think like no regrets about what you did before, but just like, oh, well, I have more information now and I can make different decisions now. So when did you start thinking about that stuff? Was it only after this third birth or was it before when you were pregnant and was some of the things that you were thinking about? Because you knew friends that had had home births before, right?
Uh, yes, I did. I mean, it's all fairly new to me. I started homeschooling, and then it just like, then you find new friends and people start talking about these things and it becomes normalized, right? It's like homeschooling, sourdough chickens, baby in your
That's
living room.
right.
So,
That's exactly it.
yeah.
I love that progression. That's a beautiful one. Oh my goodness, that's so true. Oh, and yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, so you had these friends and you had these different influences going on around you, but you were already with the OB at the time, and you were continuing with him, and then you had this dream,
Hmm.
and the dream made you want to change things. I would say likely you had some stuff going on that you were already thinking about before this dream that was making you want to switch up what you were doing.
Absolutely. So there were just different, it was a midwife at Shannon, but I asked her, about the birthing pool, and she's like, "Well, I don't think they do that anymore." And I had asked her if I don't remember. I had asked her if my husband could catch the baby, and she looked at me like I was crazy. She was like, I've never heard of that." She said, "Look, I know that you want this like all natural birth experience, but like this is I mean, she was upfront with me. She said, but this is a hospital birth." Like, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's true.
there were
She'd
lots
probably
of
be
little
surprised to
like
learn that there are hospitals that actually do have birth tubs. And like in Germany, there's a place where they all do like water births in the hospital, like all the time. And in the United States, there are places that you can have a water birth in the hospital.
I've heard stories from different people who have done so, but Shannon
Yeah.
isn't. Um, they told me in one of the birthing classes there, their epidural rate is like 98%. So I mean, the nurses
I
and the
believe it.
care providers like in labor and delivery wouldn't know how to encourage you if they wanted to. That's not what they're trained for.
Mm. Yeah, think
Uh,
about that. Only 2% of the time do they actually see moms deliver without an epidural. That's wild.
And
Wow.
there are plenty of instances where I think women, I've heard two within the last year of women that went there and they planned to have an epidural, but they were too far into labor. And so it was an accidental natural delivery. And so that accounts for part of that 2% as well.
Oh my goodness, you're so right.
Yeah.
Wow. That's kind of wild just to think about that is. And then you have to also consider their C-section rate too. So that's
Yeah.
interesting because I know it's high. I don't know exactly where it is, but it's over 30% for sure. So it should all like that's a different cascade or development of events for sure. Yeah. So you were asking your so you had a CNM, a certified nurse midwife in the hospital,
Hmm.
that was attending to you, who also works with an OB above her as well. So she knew you wanted a natural birth, and you were asking her about possibly having a water birth, that was a no, and you were talking about those things and kind of finding out anything else about it that really made you like, hey, I really need to switch up what I'm doing.
They were real, my I wasn't always so nice to my body, and so my thyroid levels have kind of been weird for a while, but they have been progressing for a long time, getting back towards a normal range. I've had a PCP for years that's been monitoring it, wasn't concerned about it. And then I get pregnant, and all of a sudden it's like all this fear mongering, like you need to take these synthetic hormones. And like it's going to lower the baby's IQ if you don't, like risk of miscarriage. And so I started looking into all of it, and like the risk of miscarriage is almost, or the increased risk of miscarriage is like almost totally in the first trimester. They didn't even start seeing me till 10 or 11 weeks because their schedule
Mm,
was so booked.
yeah.
um I think the risk, and check me on all this, but I think the like lower IQ, I think it's an average of 4 points if you start digging into the like actual numbers on it, which I
Really?
don't,
No,
I
that
don't
actually, I'm
even,
not familiar with that.
I don't even know that that's statistically significant.
Yeah.
Just things I was uncomfortable with, and if whatever whatever choice people make is fine for themselves, but I made it clear that I was uncomfortable with it, and it was like appointment after appointment after appointment that I was having
Mm,
to talk about it, and it was super frustrating.
man,
So
that's really rough.
yeah,
Yeah. So then when you had this dream, it probably didn't surprise you too much, but it was very vivid.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So at 35 weeks, then you decided to completely shift what you were doing and switch to home birth midwifery care.
I did. Coolest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I love it. It's awesome. Tell me about that. Tell me about the shift, but oh, the change. Like maybe point out some differences.
It's everything about hospital care just feels so assembly line. Like with midwifery care, you come to my house, we sit on my couch and have a cup of coffee and talk about like how I actually feel about things and what my plans are for my birth. And you talk to me about like how you want to help me accomplish that. It's not just like checking boxes. I don't,
Yeah.
I really don't think my provider at the hospital actually knew my name. I don't think she would have ever
Oh,
learned it. And so it's
yeah.
all interesting to think about. And then just the labor itself, especially like uh, you were just there to make sure that I was okay and that the baby was okay, and I got to run the show, and that was really neat. It made the
Yeah.
I I was really nervous about it, and I remember you asking me what I had done to prepare or what I was doing to prepare, and I was like, I mean, I don't know, what should I be doing? But really, my plan for I had had two births before, and I had made it to like 7 centimeters with both of them. So probably about transition is when I asked for the epidural. And so I knew I could make it that far. And I lived far enough from a hospital that I knew it would be too late once I was like ready to give up. And that was my birth plan. And I mean, it worked for me.
So it's situational, like just make sure you're far enough to know that you know it's not an option.
But really,
Uh,
there was no point where I ever thought like, oh my gosh, I wish I had an epidural right now. I wish I was like at a hospital with nurses touching me and telling me what to do. I never
yeah.
wished that.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
great. Do you
was
want to
so,
talk about, go ahead.
well, I was so scared of it, but like there was no point like in the middle of pushing a baby out, you could have asked me like, "Hey, would you do this again?" And I would have told you yes. It was turned out to not be as bad as I thought it would.
Well, do
So,
you want to share a little more about the birth, maybe kind of the lead up? So we only had, let's see, you went into labor, how far along were you?
um, I had her at 40 plus 6, and I think I was in
Yes.
early labor for probably 2 days, looking back on it.
Yeah. So it was
Um,
kind of nice that you went over because we got to have a little extra time to get to know each other. Because you're right, like midwifery care, especially out of hospital midwifery care, is so relational. We really, I mean, it doesn't take long to check your vitals and check the baby's vitals. That takes like 15 minutes, but our appointments are usually an hour, and that's because we're spending, like you said, all this time with you getting to know you, like definitely knowing your name, getting to know the names of your children and your husband and your cat and all of the things about you and about, like your likes and your dislikes and yeah, talking about preparing for the birth and with it coming up and all of the things. And when somebody comes into care at 35 weeks, it's almost like we feel like we've got to make this hour and a half long appointments because we've got a lot of catch up we're trying to do. We're trying to, get to know each other quickly and not only just get to know each other, but we're building a relationship of trust. That you trust that I am, using all of my skills and abilities and training and experience to watch the safety of you and baby and make sure that we're staying within that normal. And I trust that you are going to just listen to your body and that you're going to like listen to the encouragement I'm giving you and the ways for you to prepare and that you're going to be able to like we're going to be able to work together through the birth. And I feel like that's such an integral part of especially out of hospital midwifery care. And I thought we did a pretty good job of that. I feel like, obviously at the beginning, we've never met each other before. It wasn't like we were already friends and then you decided to switch over. It was completely brand new. So trying to, I do think personally, I believe, and you please tell me what you think about this, Jessica, but like getting to sit on your couch in your home with a cup of coffee in hand, which was most of our appointments, that there is something about that and your comfort level that I'm able to get to know you on a better level than like your midwife in the hospital. I think it's
yeah,
very different.
100%. I feel like there's something intimate about having people in your home. We have all these people that we interact with on a regular basis, but they've never seen like where we spend most of our time, where we live and have dinner with our family. I think there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I also feel like, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, that you're able to be more honest and share more about yourself. Like when you're asked questions, that you're able to get a little deeper. You're able to feel more relaxed and safe in your environment, so you can go into a little deeper on the questions or a little deeper on your thoughts about things. Do you feel like that's the case?
Yeah, 100%, absolutely. And like you said, I mean, just something about being on your own couch. It feels like you've made time for me, not like it's just someone walking in and out of an office, staring at a
Yeah,
screen for part of the appointment.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's awesome. So we have these few weeks that we got, let's see, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. We actually got, did we get 6 appointments in? Like, I'm wondering, five, six?
Uh,
I don't
maybe,
even know.
well, you may have not come to see me until 36,
Right. I
right?
think you contacted me at 35 and then came to see you pretty quickly, but yeah,
It was
definitely had
quickly, but it may
to
cross that
jump
threshold.
in. Yeah. So we had a few appointments. So that was great. We got a little more because she went a little bit longer. And I think that that probably was such a godsend for you to give you a little extra time to start preparing for this thing and trying to figure out, okay, what does this actually look like? I think that's something that a lot of people just like, I don't even know how to fathom what it looks like. Like it's just like it's like because you don't see it. Like it's not something that is on TV and in movies and it's not something that you're seeing pictures of and stuff. And so unless you're like, crazy go down the birth world now, like we do, like, in that world, I see that stuff all the time. But in the, standard person in our society and our culture, those are not pictures or images that they see. And so I think probably it's a little hard to just even grasp, what does it look like? Like, what are we going to do? Like, where am I going to labor at? Those types of things.
Sure. Yeah. So I have started going down some rabbit holes just because I think it's also interesting. But one of the best lines I've heard from someone talking about home births and midwifery is that it's not all sage and good vibes. And it's really not. Like, you come so prepared. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. Like, because everybody wants to say, like, if I had been in the hospital, I wouldn't, or if I had been at home, I wouldn't have made it because of X, Y, and Z. But you're prepared for every bit of that. And
Yeah.
I think in a lot of instances, your patients a lot better. And so you're going to be more in tune to those changes.
I think that's a huge part. Like, because we build that relationship, I know you're normal. And I'm able to see things going outside of that really quickly and able to see, like that you're uncomfortable with something or that you are comfortable or that you're not worried or that, yeah, oh, she's in the zone. Like, yeah, she's doing great. Yeah, I think that's definitely something that we're able to see more as a midwife. And this might surprise people. I don't even carry sage with me.
I think people need to hear that. They didn't know.
Yeah, they didn't know. I do have a few herbs in the form of tinctures mostly that I do carry with me. That is awesome to be able to use when we can. But I also carry pharmaceutical medicine, ready to use it if needed. Yeah, and oxygen and all the fun things.
Yeah, yeah. And the baby warmers and IV setups and all of it.
All the things. Yeah, yeah. So, what did it look like when you went into labor?
Um, I I'd been having contractions like off and on all Saturday would have been the second day, but I didn't really know how close I was. And then that night I had a bloody show and I messaged you and I'm like, oh my gosh, is there blood? And you're like, there is blood. Like, is this okay? And you're like, it's probably fine. Like, you've been having contractions. And so I knew that things were speeding up, but I was still able to sleep that night. And then the next morning, you messaged me and you're like, I'm kind of wondering like why it's not picking up. I'm gonna go ahead and come by. Um, And it still took a while. I was walking, you did a membrane sweep, and they still weren't really stacking. And so you showed me the mile circuit, and then you left for a short while. Was that, looking back, was that intentional? Like, was that
That I
strategic?
left?
Yeah, was that
Yes.
strategic?
Yes. Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
by the time you got back, I'm like sitting on my living room floor on my knees, breathing through
And
contractions.
I'm
And
like, yay!
you just looked down and smiled at me.
I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think 3 hours after that she was born, but
Yeah. It did speed up pretty quickly.
it
Yeah.
did.
I
You
definitely
got the
find leaving moms alone in their space so much. I mean, yes, I want to check on everything, but if we're not rocking and rolling, like letting you just be in your comfort zone and I'm not interrupting it, because even though you've gotten used to me being in your home, for appointments, you're not used to me being there all day long, or for hours. And so even just me being there can kind of shift things for you. And so if you're not, in really active labor, like if I can go away and just let you be relaxed, be with your kids, be with your husband, you guys do your thing. Then generally that oxytocin flowing with your family and you doing all the other things, it gets everything really stirred up and rolling.
and it I think that's what happened because you gave me like a lying mile circuit, and so I went and laid down with my husband and like tried to snuggle and take a nap, and I mean within the hour they just like shoom, ramped way up.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. How was he doing with the early labor and stuff? How do you think that he was feeling about everything?
Uh, he was so nervous. I don't.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is true for every man, but I've noticed with a lot of them, when they don't know what to do with themselves, they go find a job. They find something to do and just like dive into it. And so by the time you got there at 8 o'clock that morning, he has the entire birth box unpacked and he is putting stuff places. Like this man needs a job, he didn't know what to do with himself. And then
I
he was
forgot
impressed,
about that.
and you were like, well, it may be a little early, but this is fine.
I remember trying to look around finding all the things. I was like, "Oh, they're all out everywhere. Okay, cool."
Yeah.
And
Um,
if I said I needed something, he'd be like, "Wait, what do you need? I'll grab it."
and so once you showed the hip pressure, that gave him a job, and that was so helpful. I mean, I feel like that was the best thing for me in labor. That made it so much more bearable.
Yeah.
Uh, and so
Yeah, you
yeah,
did a
you
great
got
job.
back. You called Julie. We filled up the bathtub or the birthing tub, and you had told me while I was still pregnant, before I was ever in labor, you said some women feel like they can't get an effective push in the water. So, don't be disappointed if you have this idea of a water birth and then it doesn't work out for you. And then I think that's exactly what happened with me. I just couldn't
Yeah.
like I had nothing to. I felt like I needed something to brace on, and I didn't want to push the end of the tub down and flood my carpet. So,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, some women just need to feel, yeah, to press hard against something solid, a solid surface, to just feel more grounded too. Sometimes that's needed for pushing. Yeah. And so you ended up, we filled up the birth tub. You ended up getting in it. You were pretty active at that point. I don't remember when Julie got there, but yeah, she got there at some point. And then so you were laboring in the water. How did that feel?
uh, I mean, it helped a little bit with the contractions, but I don't feel like I felt the same relief that other people described.
Yeah.
It just
Well,
wasn't the thing for me.
you were also so close to pushing right then. So you were like really at that intense switch over. So I wonder about that for you too. But yeah, it's different for everybody. Some people are like, it's my thing. Don't make me get out of the water. Um,
Hmm.
but other people are like, yeah, yeah. So you labored in there for a while. You got to pushing.
Well, I was trying, but I couldn't. I think because I couldn't like find something to brace against, I couldn't figure out how to push. I just like I couldn't figure it out. And then the water had gotten cool, and so you asked them to put some more hot water in the tub. and it got hot, and I think she was trying to crown, and I panicked and I got out of the tub, and then I think she was born like two contractions later. But
It was pretty quickly.
it was I so I was going to get on my bed, but I'm like in this wet nursing bra, and I didn't want to hug all my pillows while I was in a wet bra, and so I just boom, hit the floor. And looking back on it, it's funny to me because like an hour before, you're like, I know you're kind of modest. We'll step out so that you can get undressed. And here we are, fast forward, and I'm like, can't even think anymore. And Julie's like, do you want us to get that wet bra off of you? And I just like arms up and yeah.
Love it.
But I didn't know how close I was to having a baby until she was literally coming out. And then it was, I mean, two pushes later, and there was a
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
And so looking back at it, like I remember you saying like, because I could feel her coming out, and I remember saying that you saying, "There you go." And then I heard her cry, but I don't actually remember y'all handing her to me. Is that normal?
Oh, yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I
It
remember
really is.
looking down and holding
Because of
her.
that
So
moment. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. And who caught her, by the way?
my husband, the neatest thing ever.
Yeah, he sure did. Yeah.
Yeah,
So then he handed her between your legs to you. Um, so yeah, it was pretty awesome.
yeah, it was. Yeah,
It's also really normal, especially when you're like, you didn't realize you were there already, for you to try to suddenly like catch up. Like, wait, hold on. Like, I just had the baby already? Like it's already, she just came out. Like, okay. And so it makes sense sometimes where you like don't necessarily remember all those little things right after she was born, and then just like, oh yeah, she's in my arms. Okay, we're good.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How did that go for the postpartum for you?
No, it's been the easiest one by far. In fact, and I feel bad saying it because I know that so many women struggle, but the difference has been, I mean, almost not even comparable. I feel like the bonding experience was so much better. I was just in a place in my own home from the beginning where I could do what I needed to for my baby, and I've never felt like she's made me feel overwhelmed. It's just
That's
been
awesome.
awesome. It's been
That's beautiful.
it is. It's been really neat.
I love that. Yeah. So if you could sum up your experience, how would you sum that up?
I just can't imagine ever doing it any other way. I don't
Mhm.
I don't get how this got taken from us. Like it's so neat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very valid point. Like, because so like it's such an amazing, beautiful thing and so natural. Like, how did we move from like 1% in the United States having home births? Like, how did we
Mhm.
move to that? Like, that's pretty wild. To think that like I had a mom on the podcast just recently that she was like, I didn't even know you could give birth at home. Like, I didn't, I didn't, I didn't know it was a thing at all, ever. That's kind of wild that that's taken from us, that we don't see that. You have to like know, and probably if you hadn't had known some friends, if you hadn't gone down the sourdough chickens, homeschooling rabbit trail, right? You probably wouldn't have even stepped into that world at all.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I remember it was I'm trying to remember, it was sometime in the postpartum, one of your appointments. And I like to ask moms like, well, how do you feel about your birth? And you just looked at me silent for a minute, and then you're like, it is the most amazing thing I've ever done in my entire life. I was like, yes.
Yeah. And I'm sure you
Um,
hear that pretty often.
Not exactly the way that you said it. It just was so beautiful to me. Like I
Oh,
was just like so excited for you, and I was like, that is just like it made me want to cry because I was just like, that's oh my goodness, yes, this is one of the reasons we do it is because of that, because of you, and then helping you have such an amazing postpartum. and being so bonded to your child and your husband too. Do you feel like it changed a little bit how you viewed your husband too?
Yeah, absolutely. That we were
Yeah.
able to do that together. And it's, um, I mean, he even knows, like, even without having ever experienced a hospital birth, that he would never want to do that either. We talk about that pretty often. I was telling him the other day, I said, can you imagine if we had had her at the hospital? Like, he wouldn't have got to catch her. He wouldn't have got to be a part of the experience. He just would have been a bystander to it,
Mm,
because they
yeah.
don't, I don't feel like hospital care really includes the husband at all.
Yeah. He does kind of get pushed aside.
Hmm.
And yeah, I love that he was able to, like, even as nervous as he was, to be able to be, such a profound part of the experience for you. Like, it's definitely quite an amazing bonding experience for a husband and wife.
Yeah. And he had never held a baby before. I don't remember if I told you that. That was the first time.
I didn't know that. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. The first time was his own daughter being born.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. Yeah,
I
I
knew he'd
love that.
figure it out. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, if there's any word of advice or encouragement that you would like to give somebody listening to the podcast or watching, if this is on an Instagram reel or anything like that, like any advice that you would want to give.
Uh, okay, I have two. The first is that if you're wondering if it's right for you, or you're scared about all the ideas, like, call and talk to a midwife. Like, ask them the questions. Your friends will have some of the answers, and you can go down the internet rabbit holes, but, like, you were the person I needed to talk to about it. And
Yeah.
the second is that you told me on my first postpartum appointment, you said days 3 to 5 are the biggest hormonal shift. Don't have anybody over. And I feel like that may be the best advice I've ever gotten in my life. Like, I needed to hear that. Because you were right. I cried the whole
Mm.
time. Nothing was really wrong. So, yeah,
And the fact that you knew it was coming probably helped. At least I hope it did.
it did so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to know you're not going to be stuck in it. It's just a moment and then tomorrow's going to be better.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That was
Yeah.
it.
Well, that's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I
Sure.
appreciate it. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for taking your time to come on and share about your story. And I know it's going to help other moms. Um, I don't know if anybody's on the fence that's listening to this or just, find a neat experience to get to um, kind of jump ship and completely shift gears, in the third trimester in your pregnancy and for it to just go so beautifully and be such a pivotal moment, I would say, of your life. What do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. Well, thanks for sharing, Jessica. I look forward to seeing you again in the future around and about. You don't have to have a baby just to see me.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. May you be encouraged and strengthened by what you've heard today. Remember, you are dearly loved by your Creator, so be who He created you to be. May you go in peace, friends. Till next time, Shalom.